Newborn American babies. Newborn citizens of these United States. Free and with rights guaranteed by the Constitution. But let's take a closer look. These new arrivals in a typical American town have equal legal rights. In class, they are not equal at all. Each has a social status handed on to him by his family, ascribed to him at birth. Meet Guilford Ames III, the latest addition to one of the town's upper-class families. Guilford Ames II is the wealthiest man in town. He owns a large factory. The Ames is one of the oldest families in the community, and so it represents prestige as well as wealth. This is where an Ames family has lived for the last 100 years, and this is where Guilford Ames III will live. Like most of the babies here, this one, Theodore Eastwood by name, has an ascribed status of middle class. His father is Joseph Eastwood, high school educated and a white-collar worker in the Ames factory. He has a steady, skillful job and is comfortably off, but the chances are that he will not advance much beyond his present status. The mortgage on his house is on its way to being paid, and someday it undoubtedly will be. Although young Ted Eastwood has an ascribed status of middle class, the best status he achieves during his lifetime may be higher than the one he was born with. It could be true to maybe David Benton, whose ascribed status is lower class. David's father is Michael Benton, an unskilled factory worker who has a meager education. Mr. Benton rents the upper floor of a two-family house in a rundown section of town. The ability to rise from an ascribed status to an achieved one is called vertical mobility and is particularly characteristic of the United States. There are class lines within each general group, and these vary geographically and in relation to nationality, religion, and race. Class exists in the United States as it does everywhere, and it plays a vital part in the life of every community.
There's West Hampton, Southampton, and East Hampton. They each have strong personalities of their own.
Hampton Bays.
I don't consider Hampton Bays part of the Hamptons, and nobody else does.
But it has the name in it, and there are
but
people.
Still, I know what people mean. They do mean West. They're the resort towns. Hampton Bays is the place where electricians live. I don't mean to say anything about it.
No, excuse me.
No matter where you've risen in life, fitting into your new surroundings may not be a done deal. Even if you've struck it rich, moved to the fancy part of town, and built your dream house, you still may not be ready to swim with the big fish.
Here's some vast new house that somebody has.
That's absolutely nouveau.
Yep, somebody has knocked down some house and decided to.
They're trying.
I think originally this was a very waspy community, and as things began to change, other groups started coming in, so now there is an equal number of prominent Jewish people. I'm sure there are some blacks out here.
Becoming slightly diverse, but I wouldn't exactly call this a multicultural area.
Right. That's fair.
On behalf of Mercedes-Benz USA, welcome to the 6th Annual Mercedes-Benz Polo Challenge at the Bridgehampton Polo Club.
In The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald told the story of a gangster who threw lavish parties in order to be accepted by New York society. 80 years later, the game of social advancement is still being fought on the green lawns of New York's summer colony, as new money stakes its claim to social position.
It's a mix.
Yeah, it's a mix.
Fashion, age.
I don't think everybody here is a Rockefeller.
So far, I've seen Francesco Scavullo, the famous photographer that everybody knows, and also David Hasselhoff from Baywatch.
Well, I would say that I have been able to and have access to the best of all things, quite frankly. And the people around here certainly, I think, are in the same kind of a level in a group. So it's kind of nice, in a good way. It's something you work for and you've attained. So it's a nice feeling.
There's this thing on Wall Street called the wealth effect. You immediately get spoiled. You immediately adopt a sense of entitlement. There's this feeling of, I'm very rich. I'm out here in my $4 million home. I want instant attention. I want you to pet me and caress me and be terrific to me, even though you're a 19-year-old kid working his way through college at the bagel store. So if you want to see class, go to the bagel store in the morning when the guys pull up in their Porsches and push around the poor kid behind the counter.
The rich rule.
This is Black America. And this is Black America.
I'm very aware and conscious of my color in society.
Bertram Lee is a freshman at Haverford College in Haverford, Pennsylvania. Tuition is $38,000 a year. The school boasts 4 Nobel laureates, and students play croquet on manicured lawns. In a student body of nearly 1,200, there are 98 blacks. Even in this idyllic setting, Lee feels the tensions of race in America.
Sometimes you wear fitted hats, you don't wear it straight like a baseball cap. And they're like, don't be offended, but are you a thug or a gangster or something? I'm like, what? I look like Carlton Banks.
His grandfather was a prominent judge in Baltimore. His late father, a businessman, co-owned the Denver Nuggets. His mother is a top lobbyist on Capitol Hill. Lee says she instilled in him a love for his race.
Black is beautiful, man. Black is beautiful. People don't say that enough.
Bertram Lee is black and affluent in America. He says that means he straddles 2 worlds and 2 sets of expectations. From blacks he hears,
you're rich. You're a rich boy. You don't understand anything about what we go through or what the struggle is.
And from whites,
you're either an affirmative action case or you're here because you're playing a sport.
Dr. Carlotta Miles has known Bertram Lee all his life. She's a renowned psychiatrist in Washington, D.C. Do you think most Americans have no clue that privileged, wealthy, well-connected black people exist in decent-sized numbers?
We're invisible.
Why?
Because we don't match the stereotype. The stereotype for black Americans is poverty, failure, victimization, and mediocrity.
These are great. Dr. Miles, a mother of 3, emphasizes success in her home with a family hall of fame. The hall is covered with photographs dating back to the 1850s.
That's my dad and his colleagues. These are all doctors. And that's Grandpa Henry. Basically made a fortune before the Civil War. This is my beloved grandmother. These people all had graduate degrees at the time when most people didn't have a college degree.
Achievements made despite the racism that existed then and now.
A new report demonstrating that the rich continue to reap the financial benefits of our economy, while middle-class workers in this country are being pressured to work for less. This study, comes, as Kitty Program-Rouse reports, on the same day as one of the largest retailers is firing tens of thousands of workers and then offering to hire them back for lower wages.
New data shows that the top 1% of Americans are now 400 times richer than average Americans.
We have not seen these kinds of gaps since before the Great Depression. We have now had 2 years in a row in which we had huge income gains at the top and people in the middle and below did not share.
He says the rich disproportionately benefit from the Bush administration tax cuts. The American worker has been downsized, outsourced, laid off, and now companies are replacing experienced workers with cheaper ones. The second largest electronics retailer in the country, Circuit City, is firing 3,400 of its best paid workers. In an outrageous offer, the company says it will give these workers the opportunity to reapply for those same jobs at lower pay.
Having worked for a number of years for the company and moved their way up and developed their skills to be better salespeople is then rewarded by, in this case, oh, so you have to actually, get laid off?
Watchdog groups say big corporate chains like Walmart make an effort to squeeze out older, long-term workers who cost the company more in wages and health care.
For the better part of the past 2 years, we have seen Walmart engage in policies to try to get rid of workers who have stayed too long with the company. The only difference between Circuit City's decision today and Walmart is that Walmart has been underhanded about it.
All this is especially outrageous at a time when the CEOs of Walmart and Circuit City are compensated in millions of dollars. Labor experts say this squeeze on the middle class has a nasty edge now. For example, at Circuit City, workers can have the privilege of their old job back at a lower wage. They have to wait 10 weeks to apply, and the retailer can fill the job during that time. So on top of less money, there are no guarantees that the job will still be there, Lou.
Kitty, thank you very much, Kitty.
Many Americans who wind up living on the streets never thought their economic prosperity would eventually become economic ruin.
Before I moved here, I had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I had 2 cars and a truck, a big backyard, big front yard, a dog in the front, a dog in the back.
Kevin Payton describes his financial stability when he was working as an electrician in Louisiana. After being laid off, he headed west to San Diego in search for work. But Payton has been unable to land a job in this expensive city, and within months ended up on the street begging for change.
They saying I'm overqualified. What that means, I do have no earthly idea. But they saying I'm overqualified, and I don't understand that. A job is a job.
Payton is not alone when it comes to formerly middle-class Americans unable to find work and ending up on the street.
I used to be a nurse assistant for convalescent hospital for the elderly.
Out of shame, Nina doesn't want to show her face on camera. She's so embarrassed about her financial situation, she hasn't come clean to her relatives about how bad things have gotten. She now sleeps on a mattress on the street corner. It's a rough life, made even tougher as police enforce measures to push homeless people out of certain neighborhoods. While there are signs for vacant luxury condos, right next door, you can see the belongings of hundreds and thousands of homeless people who will not have a bed to sleep in tonight.
There are people all over the city in cars.
With more people finding high rents or mortgage payments impossible to pay, sleeping in a car or motorhome has become a widespread last resort.